thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. Download the app today.
This is Up for a Chat with your hosts, Cyndi O'Meara and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Cyndi O'Meara.
And I'm Kim Morrison. Well. Do we have an international man of mystery with us this week? Maybe familiar to some of you, maybe new to some of you otherwise, but this particular soul is certainly not new in our world. We would call him one of our most dearest, most precious friends. We love to learn from him, tour with him, speak with him, and play with him. Welcome to Up for a Chat, gorgeous Marcus Pearce.
Oh, angels, my smiling muscles are sore already. I've just been smiling for a couple of minutes listening to you girls wax lyrical. It is a joy to be back on Up for a Chat. I cannot believe that we have been friends for over 10 years. And what a decade it's been. And yes, recently back from Europe to the Blue Zone. So happy to talk about that or anything else that comes up in our big chats today. Here we go.
Well, we're delighted to have you on the show. And I think it's been a long time since we've had you on Up for a Chat. You know, last time we spoke was pre-COVID. It was a while ago. You've done a heck of a lot. Your babies are growing. Your business is growing. You've written a book. You're coaching more. You're traveling more. Talk to us about what the journey's meant to you over perhaps the last 5 years. What's it like as a dad, a businessman, an author, a speaker, a podcaster?
Well,
give it to us, MP.
I think since you girls are like my older sisters, I do get to talk as a junior in this. I'm the youngest in this interview. So I think you've been where I am right now, male or female, mum or dad, or just a person in their 40s. I'm just having a crack at living my best life, juggling the many responsibilities, 4 kids, a darling wife. Sarah's mum and dad live 2 doors up from us. Love speaking, love working with people, love teaching, as I say to the kids, teaching people how to live a happy life. So I enjoy every bit of it. COVID taught me that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. I was so extroverted. I just wanted to speak and travel. So stages and planes were, for the three of us, were our domain for what we thought was the rest of our lives until COVID put a big speed bump in all of that. So that was a really big learning lesson. But then I've also enjoyed the bounce back and the maturity or the learnings required in order to build or rebuild business on the back end of that. So I feel like I'm really big into 7-year cycles, and I'm in the 42 to 49, which is all about soul searching and wonder. And I do feel like there is a lot of wonder and a lot of soul searching. And again, I think the work that I do kind of thankfully allows me to search my soul and the soul of others, and so it feels very fulfilling.
I love that you're talking about souls. Our last guest that we interviewed was Karen Smith, and we were talking very much about spirituality and souls. And I think a lot of the work that you do, you energize a soul. I would say you're the most energetic speaker. Kim's probably, for me, with Kim speaking,
the naughtiest.
Yes, that would be about it. But I got to tell you, the last time I heard you speak, Kim, you were not naughty. I was surprised. I don't remember you doing one bad thing naughty. I don't know what was happening, but you didn't do it. But most
you had a good girl pants on, which is hard to find those.
But I have to admit, MP, you are a very energetic. You energize the soul. You inspire a soul, and it feels like, as we talked with Karen, it feels like there is this raising up of many souls to step up to what their purpose in life is.
Mm-hmm.
And you are the perfect one for that with your book. I just, we know, as you said, it's not nutrition. It's not there. It's purpose of life. So what's your purpose?
My purpose, if we go big sentence, I'm going to start small sentence on that answer. I will answer that question. I tend to believe we all have the same purpose in life, and that is to help people. But what makes us unique is how we all choose to help people in our life. And that's the beauty of being a human being. So the way that I like to help people is to help them rise from mediocre to magnificent in every area of life and not just one. So you just mentioned purpose, movement, and a great social life are the three ingredients for a great long life. That's what I call the longevity plan. And then for most people, they don't want longevity without quality of life. And so that's nutrition, which has a foot in both camps of longevity and quality, family life, growth, and wealth. And then we infuse our spirit into all of those preceding 7 areas of life. And so my purpose is to help people infuse their heart and soul into every area of life and to win at all of them, because I'm more of an and guy than an or guy. I don't like this or that. It's like nutrition or movement. Like imagine telling Cyndi, you can eat well, but you can't swim in the ocean every day. Can you imagine what would happen to the poor girl? So, but many people think that they can do one or the other. Can you be a great mum, but then that means you can't be a great wife? Can you be a great wife, but then not a great mum? Can you be a great friend and a great mum, and a great daughter? I think that's where people get stuck. And so I really love to help people master all 8 areas of their life. That's my purpose, whether they're my kids or my clients or whoever, myself.
It's such a wonderful purpose to have too. It's a great purpose to have. So you've just come back from Sardinia and Ikaria. You went to both this time?
Went to both, yep.
Sardinia and Ikaria. Can you tell us, because they're part of the Blue Zones, I think both of them are part of the Blue Zones, and the Blue Zones are based on people who have lived 100 not out, to name your podcast. So they live to a ripe old age, and they have certain. I remember when I read the Blue Zones years ago, they had certain things. My favourite was wine at 5, actually.
Yeah, I love wine.
My husband and I do whiskey at 5.
Yep.
That's our catch up.
I'm on 21 days no alcohol right now, so I think I may have overbaked the wine at 5 in Sardinia, particularly. We kept on being taken into mud brick cellars for a vernaccia, which is like, we're talking health and wellness here. It's the most unprocessed, nothing except fermented grape juice, which is the way wine's meant to be. Anyway, but look, I could answer this question for the next 54 minutes. There's so much on a soul level that the three of us and hopefully the listeners would enjoy talking about. I think Sardinia for me was the first time we've taken a group there. Last year we did it as a reconnaissance. Sardinia as a blue zone is 13 or 14 little villages in the middle of nowhere on a big island of 1.5 million people. And so for me, Sardinia is a lot more like Australia, because if you're listening to this living in Australia or America or other developed nation, you probably feel like a black sheep, or you feel like a bit of an outlier, maybe a misnomer. People don't get you. You're looking for like-minded people, but you kind of know how you want to live. In Sardinia, many people think of the Northeast where the rich and famous go, and there's a lot of oil money out there, and you see just beautiful super yachts and everything. But the blue zone is these villages that is like going back 100 years in time, where people want to get to know you. There's a little village there called Sayulo, which is a village of 850 people. And Cyndi, you will love this. It's not near the ocean. And for some strange reason, many years ago, they decided to start planting walnut trees. Now, for anyone here that loves a bit of nutrition and insight, walnuts are very good, full of healthy fats. If you love Don Tolman's work and food signatures, it's shaped like a brain, left and right hemisphere, la, la, la. In a village of 850 people, there's over 400 walnut trees planted around the village. And it's the only village in all of Sardinia that has walnut trees growing wildly. And in this village of 850 people, I think there's 45 centenarians and then maybe 60 or 70 people that are in their 90s. So there's a real wave of graceful ages in this community. But what they also do is they are renowned for leaving their front door keys in their front door. So for anyone listening that needs a summary or a cliff notes, keys and trees, walnut trees, keys in the front door. Now, I'm not expecting people listening to just go and stick their front door key into their door. But how much of an open door policy do we have in our lifestyles? Not many of us do. We're scared to invite people into our lives. We were taught for a couple of years that it was illegal to bring people into our house. We don't necessarily have a front door key in the front door. In Sayulo, there's also a safety element to it. If an older person falls down the stairs, because in Sayulo, they build their houses on 3 levels, bottom level, is the cellar and the entrance. Second level is the kitchen and the dining and the living. And third level is the garden. And you could be in your 80s or 90s or 100s living in a 3-story home. Whereas in Australia, all we're trying to do is downsize and take all the stairs out of our lives. And if we've got a 2-story house, we want to put a lift in there so we don't have to lift the shopping up to the second level and so on. In Sayulo, 3 stories, 400 walnut trees, front door keys in the door so that if you fall down the stairs, someone can get in without being locked out of the house. But also you can open the door and go, Kimmy, darling, are you home? Cyndi, are you up for a chat and a cup of tea? Like, it's so romantic, but it's so simple. And I think, I'm already banging on, so I'm going to stop in a minute. There's just so much of this, it's like ancestral wisdom, or we would call it like it's innate when you think about it, but we've lost touch with our intuitive kind of wisdom, and we're all now very regimented and stuck behind our locked front doors. I'm going to stop talking because
I'm loving it, but you just made me remember a quote that I've been hearing lately. And you know how you said when you're old, where you're talking about in Sardinia, there's 3 levels. And here in Australia, let's just say everybody's got to be on one level. They've got to have these metal things for safety, handles, and in the toilets and the bathrooms and everything. And you're right. We live in this society that does that. But I've heard this quote, and it says, old age is the pursuit of constant comfort. So
yes.
I've decided not to have comfort in my lives. That's why I swim every morning, whether it's cold, raining, windy. I do freak out with some of the waves lately, but that's all right. I can go up the other end, swim into the waves, and then swim out of the waves. So I just feel like that's what we do, that we create this comfort. We think, we can just sit down longer, but it's the continual pursuit of comfort.
Yeah, mediocre old age is the continual pursuit of comfort. I think exceptional old age is a continual pursuit of being somewhat uncomfortable. I look around Ikaria and Sardinia, all the terraced homes, the terraced gardens, everything is difficult. Everything is difficult. And we are obsessed. The book's called The Comfort Crisis, I think. We're obsessed with comfort. We want everything to be easier, faster. You could talk about microwaves. I mean, how much easier do we want food to be? But even in Ikaria, we love our thermomixes, but we're looking around and we're chopping, making dinner with Athena, who's like the Blue Zone's chef of the island. She's in her 70s and everyone's amazed at just how just graceful she is. And there's no machinery. It's all knives. And I'm always banging on about we've got to use our hands more. It's knives, and it's pulling the herbs out of the ground, and it's slow and it's inefficient, but it's so effective. It's effective because it brings people together. Cyndi's always saying, bring people into the kitchen. We'll reduce our mental health epidemic because we're talking to each other. We're just cutting cucumbers. We're peeling carrots. That's all we're doing, but it brings so much joy to people. And that is why this is like a foreign language for a lot of us, because everyone's trying to be quick and efficient and effective. So.
I think you talk about fear. Sorry, Cyndi. You mentioned fear and the whole thing of us not locking our doors. Locking our doors. We're even penalised for it, though, Marcus. I mean, I've often been known to leave my door unlocked, and just makes it easy. Or I have keys hidden everywhere just in case I forget where I hid one of them.
That is so you. That is so you.
And then it says in my insurance policy, if you have a key that's not in a lockbox outside, you won't be covered if they use the key to get in. And it's almost like, wow, I'm being punished for being free and open. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the difference in the blue zone areas? Of course, there's the obvious, but the difference of being open versus us perhaps being a little bit more closed or fearful or worried about what's going to happen to us.
So great question. I think so that people don't take what I'm saying so literally. I'm really talking in metaphors. Like over in Sardinia, in the village of Sayulo, unless you want to go and rob something right now, you might rob someone's, family wine, but you're not gonna rob. It's just a little basic village. I think metaphorically, are we asking our neighbours? I know you love your neighbours, Kim, because you talk about them. Are we asking our neighbours to come over for wine at 5? Are we literally telling people you don't have to? I'm always saying to people, particularly with 4 young kids, I'm like, don't book in an appointment with me. Just come over. Don't wait for the right time. Everyone's waiting for the right time. Oh, I don't want to disturb Cyndi. She might be picking this, or she might be doing a workshop. She might be running a farm tour. Just drive up the driveway and see if we're home. That's what we did 30 or 40 years ago. And we'd often go to someone's home and they weren't there. And that's okay. You know, we've lost that. So I think, yes, lock your doors, Kim, because, that's okay. But let people know that they're welcome anytime and they don't have to book it in. And only 1% of them will actually take you up on the offer. But
or they can go on a treasure hunt and try and find the keys that I've hidden that I can't remember. I think that's what's so beautiful when I think back to the 70s. Cyndi, you might agree with me on this, but there was you couldn't text someone and say, are you home? You couldn't ring someone and say, are we home? Even still to this day, though, I almost find those impromptu get-togethers are even more beautiful than a planned event. Would you agree with that as far as being a little bit more flexible, adaptable, open, go with the flow kind of thing?
Well, I just know as someone that runs events in Australia and then over in Europe. In Australia, I mean, just being at, Cyndi's recent event, the Health and Nutrition Summit in Australia, you have to say this speaker's coming on at 9 a.m. and then it's morning tea at 10:30 and then this speaker at 11 and then lunch at 12:30. And if something's 5 minutes out, you can bet Bob or Betty Barbecue's coming up to you going, you said that Kim Morrison was on at 10:30 and it's 10:35 and where is she? I paid for this. And you're like, you go to Ikaria or Sardinia. I say to people, there's no itinerary. We will tell you the night before what we're planning on doing tomorrow, but everything is ish, because if we're doing a cooking class with Athena at 4-ish tomorrow, Athena might call at 2 o'clock going, oh, look, I've got to go and see my sister because she's not in a good way. Can I do it tomorrow? And all of a sudden the day's plans are changed. And then you're like, oh, we'll go out for a wine instead and watch the sunset and whatever. But we've got people, very rarely, but sometimes going, hold on a minute. You said we were doing the cooking class at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And it's like, oh, I know, but, over here, it just doesn't happen that way. And then at the same time, we could be I always remember, even just this year in the same village I mentioned earlier, Sayulo, we're walking down and there's a 93-year-old man, Fausto, on the second level of his house. He's interested in Australians. We're chatting to him down from the street level. And he says, do you want to come in for some wine?
Oh.
And Evo's like, guys, he's like, I don't even know this guy, but he's saying come in for wine. I'm like, when in Rome, you just never say no. I don't say no to anything in Sardinia. He's like, guys, we're going in. And Evo said, no phones, no cameras, no videos, because, everyone's trying to capture the moment, me included. And it's like, nothing, just enjoy this private experience. We go in and there's all these prosciuttos hanging off the roof. There's a vat of wine. The rest of the place downstairs looks like a mess. It looks like a mess. But it is so sacred and so unexpected and not on the rundown. And like you just said, I will remember that experience forever. It was so ad hoc. And we've lost the art of ad hoc experiences. And you refer to this 1970s, which was 50, years ago, and we can still do this today. I had that experience with you girls a few years ago when the floods were happening down here and I couldn't get home because of the highway being closed. And so I had to be vulnerable and go, Kim, Cyndi, can you help? And I stayed at Kimmy's for a few days and I went for walks with Kimmy and Cyndi, and it was so random. And I'll remember those few days forever. Because I was in a pretty vulnerable state, had all this stuff going on back home, and it was ad hoc, it was random, wasn't planned, and we don't need more floods, but we do need more unplanned experiences in our lives, for sure.
You spoke about inefficient cooking.
Mm.
I just want to tell you a story, and now I feel guilty that I think this way, but now I understand what it's all about. It's not about being efficient. It is about being inefficient by what you were saying. So every Friday I go to my farm and I spend the day with my grandson. He's 3 years of age. Takes me forever to do everything, but I love every minute of it. So we go to the chickens. We've got 65 of them. Of course, he wants to water them all and he wants to do this. And we pick up the eggs, and it takes him hours to get the eggs in the carton. But anyway, we do all that. Then we go picking for food. So we pick all the lettuces and the herbs and the sweet potato. We pick all the food. Now, this takes me a couple of hours to do this. Then I get up to the shed and I have to sort everything, and I make a big salad greens, like a huge tub of salad greens. It's with me for the week. And sometimes I go, it would have been easier just to go to the shops and pick it up. I have thought that. I've like gone, this is like, I understand now why people go to the shops and don't do what I do. It's inefficient when we have this efficiency, but it's also my greatest joy is that 3 hours, and that's all we get done. Eggs picked, food picked, sort, clean the eggs, stamp the eggs, because we sell the eggs. And I just like as soon as you said that, I went, I'm inefficient.
Well, but the thing is, if we didn't have the contrast of the shops, the thought wouldn't enter our minds so much. So in Ikaria, there's not a McDonald's on the island. There's no KFC. There's no Woolies and Coles. The supermarkets are stocking the things from the people's gardens anyway, whatever, and they're not even supermarkets. They're not even an IGA. Like they're just, they don't have the contrast of thinking unless, which they have. They've all spent time in Athens and so on, but they love not living in Athens. So their thoughts is, well, like, what else is there to do? What else would they actually don't even have that. We have this thing like, I still, and again, I love my thermo, but like I want to cut the onions and the garlic myself, because if I don't, everything's going to go in the thermo. I want to stir the bolognese sauce around the pan. I know it's inefficient and I'm hanging around the kitchen, but if I don't, and it's in the thermo, I'm losing touch with my food. And yes, you could go to the shops and do all of that. I wrote down as you were talking, your grandson will remember those experiences forever. Forever. He's 3. He's old enough to remember them. And your inefficiencies is creating one of the most effective grandparent-grandchild relationships that you could ever wish for. And that, regardless of the hands on the soil and how good that is for his microbiome and yours as well, Cyndi, I know you need some help because you haven't been very healthy all of these years. You've been in the KFC and the Maccas for too long. But this is so pivotal, and it is a brain fry. It's like, it's going, how can you live your life like you were living in the 70s and 80s, in the 2020s and so on? Like, and I'm not saying that we have to all go back to that way all the time, but it's so important to bring some of the slower principles back into the fast-paced world.
I want to mention, you talked about, I love that quote, if we didn't have the contrast, it wouldn't enter our minds. And that is a real epiphany for me. Both of you know how much I love Cliff Young and what a mentor he was to me. One of the questions he was asked when he won the inaugural Sydney to Melbourne race was, Cliffy, all the other athletes were stopping at hotels and having rests and showers and everything. Why didn't you do that? His answer was, I didn't know I could. He didn't even know there was the contrast. So all he did was keep running. He won that race because he didn't know there was any other option except to run from Sydney to Melbourne. Yeah. Imagine if we all lived without the contrast, not all the time, of course, but went through life with that fluidity, that flexibility, the openness, the ability to adapt, the ability to change. Or in Cyndi's and my situation, we love bright, shiny object syndrome. And if we can get distracted by some things and be more inefficient, I think that is the real crux of understanding what it means to connect. What are your thoughts around that ability to just go with the flow? I hear it, I understand it, but what does it mean to you to translate into your own personal family life?
Okay, so every year I have all of these insights of coming back. Someone said, have you stopped learning like things? I was like, every year, like I now know that there's always going to be insights, but based on what you just said, we had an attendee on our recent trip. I'll give her a shout out, Lisa, because I know she'll listen. Lisa has been in the home that they built 20 years ago, and they love their home, but they've raised their kids, and the kids are out, and they're always talking about, renovating, and we've got to, lick a paint here and, knock down a wall and do this, renovate, a couple of $100,000, $250,000, we keep on putting it off. They can do it. They financially do it. Anyway, we're over in Ikaria And we're going to all these local homes and, we're making, goat's cheese in the kitchen with Diamondo, and we're going into the gardens where the big pig is, and like there's stuff everywhere. And but she's going, these people are so happy in their simple, basic homes. Like these homes have been around for years. And she's like, why are we trying to, like, I don't want to say keep up with the Joneses, because Lisa wasn't saying she was keeping up with the Joneses, but why in Australia are we like renovating our homes every 25 years? She's like, she came home and she said, I'm going to go home and tell Mick, like, we don't need to renovate. Like what this whole purpose of like more material beautification. And she's like, I was like, yeah, this trip just saved you $250,000 and you can go and do something else. Another lady on the same trip, shout out to Veronica. Veronica's like, we've been planning to renovate the kitchen, but instead we're going to Alaska next year because we've realized that's more important in our living our best lives than putting in a new kitchen. Like the kitchen does everything it needs to do. They're just going to put some new marble on there or knock something like. So that is, for me, that's mind-blowing, because then we are going back to let's appreciate what we have, kind of like we may have done more in the 70s and the 80s. In the modern days, we're comparing what we've got to others, which is really difficult to not do when we've got social media and mainstream media telling us what everyone else has. But it's all a performance, let's be honest. I know for me, like I'm looking out there, I still drive a Toyota Orion that Sarah's brother bought brand new many years ago. He moved to Singapore, sold the car to his dad, Sarah's mum and dad. We moved up here with only one car. We sold one car, and then Rob and Jill said, we're getting another car. Do you want the Orion? So now we've had the Orion for, I don't know, 5 years. I'm not getting a new car until that car dies. And that for me is because of Ikaria. Because in Ikaria, you don't see BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes. You see them. There's some research around the blue zones being a fake because they live in poverty. It's like they don't live in poverty. They just spend less than they earn and invest the difference in family experiences and living a magical life. They don't put all this effort and value into their cars. As an example, there's nothing wrong with a great car. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you ask me what differences do I make? Some of those things like that are the things. Family style dining. So I don't tell the kids you've got to have that piece of chicken and that type of veg. Like they're smart enough. They've got innate intelligence pulsing through their veins. They know if they need more protein, fats, or carbs. Why should I be the one telling them what they need? Siesta. I'm really having a crack this time. Been going to Ikaria for nearly 10 years, really having a crack at actually having a 2-hour break in the day. Not a 2-hour sleep, not a 2-hour lunch. It could be gardening for half an hour. I might be going for a walk. It's definitely screen-free. But at the same time, I might be making a phone call, which requires a phone, but just slowing down in the middle of the day. Siesta translates to 6 hours. 6 hours after work, have a break. So if you start at 9, at 3 o'clock, you're normally ready for a bit of a break. If you start at 7, come 1 o'clock, you're ready for a bit of a slowdown. And what I love about it, I'm only a week into this, by the time your siesta finishes, you're actually ready to do a couple of hours more work to kind of finish up the day. And if you've designed your day well, you've done the most important work at the beginning of the day. So towards the end of it, after your siesta, you're just tying things up. They're just a smattering of some of the insights. But again, I reckon there's at least 200 things that I've probably incorporated over the years.
I like that insight of the siesta. Because I always think of siesta as sleep. I don't want to sleep in the middle of the day. I love being out in the sun, and I love, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to go outside. So I like that.
Reading a book in the sun is one of the great siesta practices by people that have been doing siestas for years. They love a book. They love the outdoors. Perfect.
And now what we're learning with quantum biology is that when you're in the shade, there's near infrared that is waving into your body and sparking up the mitochondria. So we now know that under the shade, reading a book will allow you to do that. You don't have to be out in the sun to get infrared. You can actually get it in the shade. You can actually get it with clothes on. I didn't know this. And it doesn't matter if it's nylon or linen or cotton or whatever it is, you will get that near infrared, which will spark up your mitochondria. And so I love that idea that it's not asleep inside. It's actually go for a walk, do some exercise. Thank you. I'll take that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they
so
break all the sleep rules. Yeah, go on, Kimmy.
I just got out. One of my loves is doing crosswords or puzzles or Wordle or any of those sorts of things. And I thought the other day, I do a lot of those things on my phone. What could I do that's a little bit different? And normally every Christmas we get out a jigsaw, jigsaw, and we all participate and play in that. And I thought, why should I wait till Christmas? And I'm not joking. On the weekend, I got the jigsaw out. And instead of going anywhere, I was trying to find somewhere to go to watch the AFL Grand Final. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch the AFL Grand Final in the background and I'm going to do a jigsaw. And every time I walk past, I just sit there and do a couple of pieces. I go outside and then I come back in and I'm like, wow, today I've just realized I'm a blues owner. I'm actually doing this.
You are. And I wish everyone could actually own that they are, to your words, a blues owner. We all have a longevity issue, challenge, crisis, opportunity, however you want to phrase it, particularly if you're living in Australia or a developed nation. Like, we have to master this art called longevity, whether in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, 60s, 70s. Like, I wish people could really own the fact that if they don't own this and design it, it's too late. Like, it's too late to try and figure this out in your 70s and your 80s. You can do things in your 70s and your 80s, but like we talk about, chronic illness and other things, like, don't think that stuff starts in your 70s. Stuff starts in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, So anyway, yeah, you're a blues owner. We're all a blues owner. We just got to own it.
But a lot of people aren't. And so you taking that group that you do now every year, well, except during COVID, I guess you had a couple of years off, but you taking that group, it allows them to realize what life is about. And you're giving us some little hints of it. Is there any more? I know you said there's hundreds.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm loving it all.
Just before he answers this, Cyndi, you and I need to make a commitment and actually go on one of these tours with Marcus and Damo.
Well, Marcus, you talked about taking a group of people that were in a professionals.
Yeah.
And we're in. You and I are in. And it's 2026, right? All the pros, all the professionals going, chiropractors.
Yeah, I think there has to be because there's so many. I talked to like retirement village operators, and I'm like, guys, you need to come over and check this out with your eyes. It's like Cyndi needs to see it with your eyes. I think there needs to be a professional development trip because anyway. So I mean,
tax free then too. You see,
I'm just letting everybody know that in 2026 we're going.
We are. Put us down. We're first.
So there's a few things here. Like, just coming back from Sardinia right now. One thing that blew our minds is Mediterranean diet is all the rage, but let's just be really clear. It is a marketing. I'm not going to say a gimmick, but Mediterranean diet in Sardinia is very different to the Mediterranean diet in Ikaria. In Sardinia, they eat horse. In Ikaria, they don't eat horse. They eat goat. They'd be having lamb in Sardinia. But in Sardinia, what we learned, and many people may already know this, that olive oil, which is considered like the staple of the Mediterranean diet, has really only been in let's say, efficient production since around the 1950s in Sardinia, as machinery, as the Industrial Revolution didn't really hit Sardinia until the 50s, and it's only been a thing for, 80, 90 years. And before then, it was highly inefficient, which meant it was very difficult to extract the oil from the olive. And so it's a bit like talking about, ancient grains and food that our ancestors, had, thousands of years ago. Like, Sardinia is based on around 9,000 years of history. And our host, Ivo Parisi, who has a PhD in metabolism and is very science-oriented, was very keen to share with us that olive oil is a modern food. So let's be clear about that. The 5-course antipasto, primo, secondi, and the main, and then the dolce is very modern, and in his words, are highly contributing to Italy's lack of health. Definitely not their health. They just overeat and they eat and they eat and they eat. He's all about one meal, which as Australians was great because I think we do a lot more one meal than 5 courses. But also just kind of recognizing that longevity is a recent phenomenon. So you look at the blue zone, so to speak, Sardinia and Ikaria and Okinawa and so on. We've got to be mindful here, like getting older en masse is new. But and this kind of takes me to that space of the cutting edge of longevity, the supplements and the gene therapy, and a lot of the, I don't want to say the surgeries, but a lot of the different things that are so cutting edge. I just think we've got to be so wary, because I think history has a way of repeating itself, but we also need to be mindful that we are at the point of thousands of years of evolution. And to get to a point where we know better, science controlling nature, let's just take the resveratrol out of the grape and call that like a superfood for longevity. Like, we talk about it as if we're so smart, but when I travel to these places, I was like, we couldn't be any more stupid thinking that this is the way. If we don't have human engagement, if we don't know how to hug people, if we don't know how to listen to our loved ones and not fix their problems, but listen to their problems, if we don't know how to move our body, if we don't know how to generate a compelling reason to get out of bed each day, all of these things have been around for centuries. It's not the olive oil. It's not the resveratrol. It's not the NAD. It's not whatever MCT oil. Like, those all things that can be great, but it's just so much more than the modern description of longevity. And I think we've got to be really, really mindful of that.
I love what you're saying, because I feel the same way. I just feel like it's always the new darling of a supplement. So, I've been in the industry 44 years, vitamin C. I watch vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, now D, and every single one of them have had issues about them. Vitamin C is coming into its own right at the moment. I just listened to Paul Merrick last night speak on vitamin C infusions and septicemia. So we're finding that's medically using vitamin C. But I've seen this, and then you see the results of too much of synthetic vitamin E or too much synthetic vitamin A, and it's just. And now we're realizing it about D, because the sun gives us more than D. The sun gives us infrared. It gives us UVA, UVB. It gives us waves that help our mitochondria. So I love what you're saying, and it's lovely to hear that tradition of, that longevity is it's almost like it's biohacking, whereas longevity in Sardinia, by the sounds of it, and especially the town you went to, and by the sounds of Evo, I want to meet him. It's a lifestyle, it's a journey, it's doing the right thing throughout your life. It's not the big thing that you do at 70, it's the little things that you do throughout your life. And that's what I'm hearing is what they're doing. And it's consistent. It's consistent every single day, that 2-hour siesta, that, you know.
Cyndi, I think you'll love this story. We were baking bread with a local family one day in Sardinia, in a little town called Escolca, and we asked the lady to share some of her memories, and she welled up with tears, literally with tears, telling us that the reason why she loves baking bread so much is because it takes her back to her childhood, baking bread with her mum. And I promise you, such a simple statement brought tears to a number of our attendees around this dining table. And I think the reason why it made so many people tear up is because, one, it stimulated a memory in them, or it stimulated a major absence in their life, that they don't have that level of human connection in their life. And I've always said, no one will ever be able to stick a needle in your arm and go, you've got a great friendship group, don't you? You love where you live. You love the work that you do. You just enjoy such great emotional safety that you can share your trials and tribulations with people around you. Science will never be able to capture any of that. And so we chase longevity with all of our nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals and the next shiny object on the lab shelf. And we just somehow want to ignore this human connection. And what are people's ahas when they're with us in Ikaria and Sardinia? I need to work on my community engagement. And as I say, socializing requires leadership. No one's going to call you. No one's going to knock on your front door. If you don't tell people your door is open, if you don't invite people over, you're not going to get invited anywhere. I'm sorry, it sounds morbid, it sounds pessimistic, but this is the world. If we don't lead, if we do not lead our longevity and bring people along with us, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen well. We'll have longevity, but we won't have quality of life. And I think it's not going to be the next pill. It's got to be a lifestyle transformation, and not even transformation. Maybe it's adjustments for people. But like eating well, it's not just what you eat. It's who you eat with. It's how you eat. If you have the best diet, but you don't chew your food, you are giving your gastrointestinal system so much hard work to do. Why would you waste that great diet by not chewing it and like eating it so quickly? So these are just some of the adjustments, but they are transformative for a lot of people that, I don't know. I don't know if I just sound like a guy that is living in yesteryear, but I feel like that is the future, not the past.
Sadly, when any of us put on an event or do something, might be a little bit different for some of us at times, but if you're promoting health or self-care or love or longevity or regenerative farming and all of that, for a lot of people, they're more attracted to an event that says make money, look 10 years younger.
Yeah.
What is the fascination with this day and age where we've lost those traditions and we're more interested in the fakenicity of life?
Well, we don't have mentors like our Cyndi does. Her parents were incredible. Most of us don't want to age like our parents. I know Cyndi would say she wouldn't want to age like her mum, but definitely like her dad. Most of us don't want to age like our parents. Again, when we go to Ikaria and Sardinia, they love their parents and they love their grandparents, and their parents and their grandparents have got a great quality of life in their quantity of life. We don't have that template, and it also translates down to our values around aging or anti-aging, but also wealth. Like, a lot of the wealth experts that I think are fabulous will talk about not creating a culture of entitlement with your children. There's nothing wrong with wanting to improve your wealth position. I think when you live in a wealthy nation, it's absolutely vital, because the pension in Australia is relative poverty. You are living in poverty in Australia if you are depending on the pension as your income. So we don't want to live in that relative poverty, but we also don't want to be comparing ourselves constantly to everyone else. We must master the art of living, of listening to our own intuition. You girls might know this. I've got this quiz called the Exceptional Life Quiz, and people rate each area of their life out of 10. And the word that comes up the most in the spirit comments when I go rate it out of 10, and then it's what's missing. The most common thing in spirit is what's missing. I've lost my intuition. I don't know how to listen to my intuition. I turned it off years ago, like when I married the wrong person or entered the wrong job, like when I married for companionship or got into a job just for security. And so I didn't listen to my heart. I only listened to my head. And then they've lost the art. They've forgotten how to go into their heart and soul. And so these trips to Europe is like giving people an assault on the senses of how to listen to your heart and soul. And that is so confronting for people, because they realize how constrained they've become in all of their self-worth coming from what other people think of them, the house that I'm in, the car that I drive, the job that I have, and so on, the type of phone that I have, that they realize how detached they've become from their soul life, their soul being. And that's why I say no amount of resveratrol is going to help you with that. That's inner work, which is why the three of us get on so well, because we have this similar life view. But helping people, holding their hand to help them do this, is probably what brings the three of us together so much. Like, we love to help people do this, but let's be honest, it's not easy, and no one can trick you into thinking it is. So making more money is not going to be the way that makes it happen. It's got to be an inside job, and that requires a fair degree of conviction and healthy mentors, like mentors that you love, which is why you two girls are two of my beautiful mentors. I would just listen to you all day because I know I can trust you with my life. And we need more of people like yourselves in the world, so that people cannot be so ingrained into what other people think of them.
I'm wondering about your participants that went, and you've given us some insight into two of them that had aha moments. Did most of them have aha moments, and were they able to take what they what they were being taught by the people of Sardinia? Were they able to integrate that into their life? Is there follow-up with these guys? Did you teach them how to do that? Like, I often find you go away, you learn something, you come back and you go back to your life. And I see that with a lot of people. So while I guess my question is, how do they integrate what their lessons that they learned in Sardinia and Ikaria back into their life in Australia? Because we live a very different culture. We have a very different pace of life.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest here. So I've got to make sure I don't give people their names, except when I feel like, because some of the big things that happen on this trip are extremely personal, and they're on big areas of life. So I can definitely out Hillary by name, because Hillary came to Ikaria in 2016 and then came to Sardinia with us this year in 2024. Hillary, after Ikaria, because we walked incidentally so much, she decided to start walking. She's a practice manager for an osteopath. She decided to start walking to work instead of driving. And so she ended up walking 10 Ks a day. Inefficient, but very effective on her physical body. She was so desperate to come to Sardinia this year. And again, she'd be happy for me to tell the world this. She sold her car to come to Sardinia. That's how much she wanted to come to Sardinia. And she still shared with us that she still walks to work. She still does 10 Ks a day. Sometimes if she's tired, she might get the bus or the tram home, but she's now working like 2 days a week down in Fremantle, and she is walking 25 minutes to the train station, then on a train, and then another 30 minutes to the work location. And so she has completely changed her relationship to time and her relationship to movement. She said, I'm always looking for hills because what WA is very flat. And she said, I'm always looking for green space because there's a lot of concrete and glass. And she's looking for parks to walk through instead of just going down suburban streets. If anyone, I said to Hillary, we just had a catch up last night with our attendees from Ikaria and Sardinia. And I said this to Hillary in this group call. If anyone heard you talking right now, they would think you're a crackpot junkie. They'd think you are crazy. Like, that is just wild. Someone else whose name I shall withdraw had insights in Ikaria to the point where they are now coming home to sell their business and move on to the next phase of their life. Someone else whose name shall remain nameless is coming back to end their marriage after 10 years of ruminating on it, but worried about what the person, what society is going to think of them in ending their marriage. They're just three off the top of my head as you asked me, but honestly, there are so many. I call these trips the gift that keeps on giving, because you might have an insight 5 years after you went that wasn't relevant at the time, and then one day you're in the garden and you're like, oh, of course, I've got to plant basil so that I can make this recipe that we had 5 years ago in Ikaria. Like, silly little things. Other people, you would know, Natisse, Natisse, the Valley Newton. So Natisse has just come with us to Sardinia. Natisse came to Ikaria in 2019. After 2019, Natisse came home and bought a home, not so much for the home, but because she wanted to put chooks in the backyard. Like, it was more about the backyard than the home. So because in Ikaria, they're like, we don't really care about the home. We care about the land that surrounds the home, because that is going to provide like more of the memories and more of the nutrition and the goodness than just the home itself. So I'm waxing lyrical on things popping into my head, but these are the things that really get people going. Like, ongoing social gatherings. We're going to have a monthly Sunday roast at my house, open door. Whoever wants to come, it's there. I know in Sarah's family, like, we do a thing every month. If you can come. That's quite common for a lot of families, but these are the little things that,
Just talking about Hillary. Beautiful.
And you know Hillary King Sullivan.
You know Hillary, and Hillary joined us in Peru in 2016. And I want to publicly say congratulations, Hillary, because she really struggled to do the walks and opted sometimes to not walk and take a simpler option. So I want to publicly say, good on you, Hillary. I'm so impressed. Congratulations 1,000,000 times over. I know you've been through hell and back, but wow. When you said that to me, I went, wow, that's good. Because she went from Peru to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
she's got an incredible story to tell and an incredible human being. And I just love that she still does it to this day. It wasn't like a 30-day walk to work thing. Like, nearly 10 years later, she's still doing it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Peru, when we were there, then you were talking about the simplicity of life in Sardinia and Ikaria. When we did a hike, our first day hike, I still crack up at this, Marcus. the first day we're there, all of us are in our Kathmandu, our amazing gear. We've got the poles, we've got the boots, we've got the scarf, we've got the sunscreen, we look the part. And our tour leader and our tour leader goes, just slowly, we're at a really high altitude. And I'm thinking, altitude, schmeltitude. The woman that came over and met us was, I couldn't believe it, in her 70s. She had these little, not little, but they were like leather thongs. She had an apron full of potatoes she had picked on the way. And then she not only had walked to us, she was walking us back to her place. And I must admit, within about 500 meters, I couldn't breathe. So anyway, Advil told me to just slow it down, and I kind of got the hang of that. But when we got to this, do you remember the little village that we got to, Cyndi? And there were guinea pigs running through their kitchen. And there was it was just so foreign to me to have these creatures that not only they run through their kitchen, but they actually eat them, they roast them, and they do and I was just like, I am so far removed from this. It is not funny.
Yeah.
Is that an experience that occurs for the people when they get there? Because you always say, do not think this is a 5-star hotel that we're going to.
Oh, well, we milked goats for the first time this year. It was so random. Again, we're at a local family's house. They had their 4 grandkids there. And I think the kids were taking us to parts of the house that I don't know if we were allowed to go there or not. But anyway, we ended up in, what is the little goat house called, girls? Tell me, I'm so far removed from that process. Anyway, the barn, let's just call it the barn. We end up in the barn, and then
I know the dog house.
They come
Danny's been in it a few times, Marcus.
Well, Danny, Danny boy, he's never been in the dog house. No. He's too well behaved for that.
Carry on about the goat house.
The mum Diamondo comes down and she's like, okay, everyone can milk the goats. So all of a sudden we're milking the goats, the goat's milk and so on. And then, with yesterday's goat milk, Diamondo's help, we're all making goat's cheese. It is bringing everyone closer to where our food comes from. I mean, for us, as Cyndi said earlier, you can be in the garden and go, it'd be so much easier to go to the shops, but she doesn't, because she's got a farm. But we are so far removed from the process. And the closer we get, it is uncomfortable. But it's so important. We spoke about comfort at the beginning of this episode. We have got to make our lives a little more uncomfortable. Dare I say, maybe a lot more uncomfortable. For some people, coming to Europe is just uncomfortable in itself. A 24-hour flight. That's. I think I tend to think that people come on our groups because I often say you can go by yourself. You don't have to come with us. But I think people like the safety of coming in small groups. I'm sure you found this with Peru and your hike recently, Cyndi. They love to know that they're coming with not 100 people, but 12, 15 people, whatever it is. There's a safety in that, but it's also safety in being uncomfortable. That's kind of why we go to events, isn't it? We know we're gonna be uncomfortable, but so is everyone else in the room. It's a bit sadistic, isn't it? It's I know you girls have done, Guy Lawrence's events, or you've done a Tony Robbins event. You're going to walk on fire, but so's hundreds of other people as well. So I think we do need to be a lot more. Yeah, we definitely need to make life that little bit more difficult for ourselves.
Well, book Kimmy and I in for 2026. I'm a definite, and so she. I'm just going to make it that we're going in 2026. I've been wanting to go for so long, and I just always have something else booked in. I don't have anything.
It does take a bit of planning. It's all about timing. I
don't have anything booked in for that. Right. I'm mindful of time also because I know you have a call in a very short period of time. In that very sorry, Kim, I can see your mouth open.
I just wanted to say we want to give a shameless plug about you, beautiful Marcus. Not only your tours and your groups and the beautiful offerings that you and the gorgeous Damien Christoph offer, your podcast, 100 Not Out, your beautiful website, your amazing book, your exceptional life. If people wanted to be a part of your coaching, your philosophy, your place of what it means to be in this world, could you please give a selfless plug on how people can find you, follow you, and be a part of your existence? Because it is freaking phenomenal.
Oh, you girls. I'm not very good at self-plugging, so I'll give it a crack. I'm more than happy to give the listeners a copy of the book, on ebook and audiobook. You girls are featured heavily in the book. No, I think it's important because this message is it's important. It needs some nuance and maturity. We've spoken for an hour, but there's so much more to life. So if people are new to my work, let's just put the link in the show notes for the free book and the audio book because I couldn't give the URL right. If that is a bit much, or if they want a little bit less, they could take the Exceptional Life quiz, which is just at the homepage, marcuspearce.com.au. Just go to myname.com.au and there's the Exceptional Life quiz. They'll rate each area of life out of 10. And then I would always recommend start working on your life on the lower scores, not the higher scores. They're like automatic in the car. Work on what's manual and clunky. And then on a coaching perspective, I do have a small group of one-on-one clients. So people could reach out with me, again, via the website if they feel like they need a mentor on these 8 areas of life. And
don't you have a group coaching?
I do, Exceptional Life Mastery, but I thought I was banging on a bit of too much self-publishing.
No.
So yes, I do have a group, which Kim was a very special guest whilst I was away. Thank you for filling the seat there. Yeah, Exceptional Life Mastery. I would just say, Kim, if people are interested, we'll pop a link in the show notes to that because there'll be too many links.
Cyndi and I just want people to know you were one of the key speakers at her event. Was it last year? I don't even know what year. Last year. You were so robust, funny, interesting, and also incredibly relatable. And I think that's what I'd love people to hear, that they can actually relate to you. You see people, you're a father of 4, you're an amazing husband, you've got a gorgeous wife, you have an incredible outlook on life. And if people want to make it simple and don't want to go down the rabbit hole, as in like try and pull up all past traumas and going through all of that sort of stuff, then you are the man to make people feel alive and excited, and also to simplify one's existence. And I think that that's really shown through from our point of view, watching you over the last 5 to 10 years and what you and Damo have created. It is just such a breath of fresh air. And that whole thing around longevity, about making the rest of your life the best of your life, is probably one of the best lines that Cyndi and I have ever heard. And it's just such a privilege to have you in our circle. And we adore you, Marcus Pearce.
Yeah.
Oh, Cyndi and Kim, the feeling is mutual. I love you girls so much, and it's a real pleasure to, again, be able to have this conversation, share the message. I don't think we can really put into words what the last, 10 years of our friendship has been about, but all I know is that I'm so excited for the next 50 years of our friendship, and may we all be at each other's 100th birthday in the years to come. And yes, if it all goes well, I'd love to spend some time with you in Europe, and any of your listeners, welcome to join us, and may the rest of your life be the best of your life, ladies and listeners.
Thank you.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.